Why did a straight-to-video Disney knockoff get a theatrical release? I mean, what were they seriously thinking? Did they honestly think that the film would do well in theaters? I mean, someone had to look at this film, seen it all the way through, and thought, you know what? Yeah, we can rake in the money Disney does with their animated features. Let's just release it into theaters. Alice in Wonderland and The Wizard of Oz. Both stories have pretty much become visual shorthand for insert surreal fantasy world here in modern pop culture. Want something to be a whimsical childlike fantasy? Set it in Oz! Want that to have a horrific edge to make the audience question the sanity of the protagonist? Set it in Wonderland! I understand working with pre-existing material can yield interesting results. I mean, look at something like Wicked, for example, working with Oz. Or look at something like, say, American McGee's Alice. That worked pretty well too, experimenting with it. The problem is that those interesting results only really come about when the person playing with the established content actually has an understanding of what makes it work. And that is the first failing of this film. It only basically takes the surface level cues from the MGM Judy Garland version of The Wizard of Oz and not really even understanding what makes that story so resonant with audiences. I mean, seriously, if you're gonna have the likes of Dan Aykroyd, Kelsey Grammer, and Jim Belushi playing people like the Scarecrow, the Cowardly Lion, and the Tin Man, and have them featured in your advertising, why do you have only those characters appear in literally 1/3 of the film? I mean, why would you do that? Especially if you're trying to appeal to the nostalgia that's attached to The Wizard of Oz. You just, Another problem is that this film is trying way too hard to be like Disney. It's basically like the Disney knockoffs that we saw during the 90s, complete with very bland music, grating attempts at humor and animation while looking pretty, kind of approach the uncanny valley when it comes to actually showing humans. On top of that, the story just doesn't really make that much sense. I mean, it tries to do the whole, oh, she sees some things in the real world, then somehow they work their way into Oz, and then somehow her adventures in Oz give her the solution to her real world problems. I mean, even the MGM film didn't try that because there wasn't really any major crisis she was really dealing with. The only real crisis was something within Dorothy and how the fact that she was first contemplating running from home and then wanting to go back home. That was the underlying theme of at least the MGM movie based on my knowledge of it. Whereas this film just doesn't execute the story very well and doesn't really even make much sense with how the connections between Oz and the real world work, or really how her adventures in Oz give her the tools to actually solve the problem she's dealing with in the real world. It just doesn't make sense, making the ending feel really contrived and needlessly schmaltzy. All in all, this film is just diet Disney. It's the kind of film you would find on a DVD rack at a Walmart that would be trying to basically capitalize on the popularity of a recently released film. I mean, for example, a lot of people saw DVDs of The Snow Queen come out when Frozen was released into theaters, so this film probably would have at least stood more of a financial chance if it was straight to video and came out around the same time as either Oz the Great and Powerful, or around some anniversary screening of The Wizard of Oz by MGM, or around the time that Disney would put forth their remake of The Wizard of Oz. So, really, people, do yourself a favor. Do not pay money to see this movie in theaters. Don't even pay for it in the dollar theater. Just wait for it to come to Netflix if you're that desperate for an Oz fix and aren't just watching the MGM film or even the Sam Raimi movie. I mean, there are better Oz movies out there. On a related note, what is it with movies based on The Wizard of Oz that hire musically talented people but don't actually use the talent that they're known for? I mean, why the hell do you cast Bernadette Peters and not have her sing? It's like casting Michael Jackson in a film and not having him dance. Wait, they did that. Well, it was stupid then and it's stupid now. That said, I give Legends of Oz: Dorothy's Return a 2 out of 5. So that's it for this episode of Romney's Reviews. Tune in next time for my review of Neighbors. See ya then.